And Cyprus, as almost always, chooses internally, and they settled on Andrew Lambrou and the entry Break a Broken Heart. He's also Australian, by the way, and actually tried to represent Australia last year, taking part in Australia Decides. It wasn't enough to make it to Turin, but enough to land on someone on an important people's radar, I guess. The song's described as a ballad about relationships that end with a broken heart, but in the end, they might very well push us to rise again from the ashes, even stronger. It's all fine and dandy, but does it do anything for us? Well, let's talk about it. So, James, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, first, to address a couple of questions, my cat's name is Smokey. So
Smokey.
Yes,
that's a cool name.
Yeah. So with regards to this one here, it's a very safe song, shall I say. It's not upping sticks in any part of in anything. Very safe, a solid vocal performance. This is the one I feel that myself and a lot of other people might have underscored based on the video and the studio release, but if he does it well live, might start seeing this one bump up in the ratings. And yeah, so the Australia thing obviously explains why there's a drive-in movie theater. I was wondering where he was going with that thematically, with the abandoned drive-in and the abandoned warehouse, because I don't know how it fit in with the lyrics necessarily, but yeah, I don't mind it. It's a decent, solid entry, and yeah, Andrew's live performance will be the key here.
So yeah, Andrew and Lorraine, by the way, they have a lot of songwriting overlap. Yet everyone talks about Lorraine, nobody talks about Andrew, it seems. I think since we haven't seen like the full staging or know Andrew as well as an artist, maybe that plays into it. I don't know. I'm somewhat guilty of that myself. I think it's a good, solid Swedish entry, right? It's a bit overly produced, Eurovision friendly bucket kind of thing, but not a bad song. And as a matter of fact, I quite like it. I really like it. It's one of those entries that I constantly hum at home, and more than most, or like any other Swedish or Swedish adjacent entry, I guess. It is just now up to Andrew to really package it in a manner to make it more of a competitive song. But I do think some people are sleeping on this song. It's a solid and chart-friendly song, and I wouldn't call it like a masterpiece. And if anything, it is more of a guilty pleasure. And by that, I mean there is a certain predictability and comfort in that song, and maybe I shouldn't like it as much as I do. So I acknowledge its shortcomings. At the same time, I'm not overthinking it too much. It's just one of the songs that it's more often played on my playlist. Not my number one, not at the very top, but it is just insanely enjoyable to me. And that's where I fall with Cyprus. Connor.
So for me, I agree with what we've said, that it is it's not a entirely inventive song. And the danger here is that I could have a little bit of an Andromachy backlash of, wow, I really like this song, but then we get to the live vocal and the live performance and it falls a little flat. So I think that is perhaps, speaking of why maybe people are sleeping on it or not talking about it or anything like that. For pretty much almost all the other songs, we at least have some benchmark of performance to go off of, and Cyprus and CyBC have been like really holding on to this performance, maybe just for the big grand reveal. But I think for me, what I really love is I do love just the melodic lines that they have written in this song. Of course, you can really hear Andrew Lambrou's, I guess, influence or statements in this piece. And I really am appreciative that the Cypriot delegation and team, and also I guess Andrew, because he was a part of the selection process, have finally started to step out of okay, we have to send a pop song this year. We have to send a dance pop song. We have to send a dance pop song. We have to send a dance pop song. yes, it didn't pay off last year, but I at least am appreciative that they are taking chances now and they're trying some new things instead of just resting on their laurels of, well, we know that this is going to get us through to the grand final. Because at a point, probably around El Diablo, I was kind of a little bored of
Mhm.
the same thing. So I at least appreciate that we have something different.
All right. That's fair. And before we look at some of those comments, let's get our scores in first and then the overall score. James, what's your score for Cyprus?
Right, with the panel saying we have to send a pop song, it's like their delegation was in replay.
Ooh.
Dad joke of the day.
That's okay. We need some dad jokes in here.
Yeah. For me, the score is 6. Again, I don't mind it. There's some strong elements, and I could see the score going higher if because with it not being talked about, this has a potential to be the one that's closer to the time where people, if he puts in a good rehearsal performance, people then can start coming in, and it could be one of those coming out of nowhere. So it is, it has a potential to increase for me, but right now 6.
Yeah. And then now I'm mostly the Paula Abdul on the panel usually. I have so much respect and love for the songwriters. And even if I maybe not jive with the song, I still can acknowledge and appreciate the effort that was put forward, even if it's not completely to my liking. And this one, actually, I looked at my score and I was like, maybe I was a little bit too nice actually looking at it, because I do really like it, but maybe it's not as strong as some of the others. But I want Cyprus to do well. I actually gave it 8 points. And I'm like, well, maybe 7.5 would have been more appropriate. But anyway, I gave it 8. Connor.
Well, if you are Paula, then I will claim Randy and I will give James Simon.
Okay. Oh, dear.
But shout out to all of our Americans watching who actually know who we're talking about. But for me, I agree with James, which is not something that Randy would do. But I also am on the 6th level.
Pitchy
I think
dog.
it's
You little pitchy dog. That's what you need to say. Anyway.
yeah, just a little pitchy, which he could be. And again, this could be one of those things where I expect something big from Cyprus, and it's whether or not this all is going to come together and work on the stage. That's I think going to be the make or break it for them. But at least in studio, what I've listened to multiple times, it's a solid song.
I didn't catch your score. What did you say?
I said it's a 6.
6. Okay, yeah, I missed that part. So there you have it. Now we need to find out where Cyprus falls overall. And I'm bringing up the board right now. And this is what we got. 6.37, slightly edging out Armenia. Again, it's like the third one in a row, I think, that finished in 9th place. Yeah. That's like the number of the day here. Yeah, I can see that happening. As again, I think my score was a little bit generous, I guess. So I see a 6.37. No, I would have given it more like closer to. I think it should have been a little higher. Yeah, I'm like debating us right now. Since the two of you gave it a 6, so you both should be like, yeah, this is about right. Connor?
Yeah, I would say it's about right. I would say I think if you hadn't given it your score, it actually probably would have been close, if not just below Armenia. So you probably drug it up just a tiny bit. But yeah, I think based off of no one really talking about it and us not knowing full reactions about people, this ends up, at least of the songs that we've seen so far, in the middle objectively. But I wouldn't be surprised as the other songs are evaluated that other songs start to just push it further and further down.
That's fair. Yeah. So let's see some comments. I like it a lot. I hope it manages those high notes live as well. 8 points. And well, I agree, because that's what I gave it. Only thing I've seen live so far, I haven't really done any research on it, but I saw some TikTok clips of his, and of course he put the most flattering videos on there, of course, and it sounded good there. Has anyone seen any of his other performances, Connor, James, where you can judge it a little, like he can sing those high notes well? Or is it more like Spain, what we have with Blas Canto, where we thought he can, and then they were just a little screechy in the end?
Well, not necessarily his high notes, but he did do a very wonderful cover of Molitva from Serbia, 2007. Yes. So that was very good. Of course, again, the best take of it, so hit or miss. But I feel like he's been working really hard on it. So this could be, everyone was like, "Oh, Aiden can't do those notes," and she showed up and did them, except for on the final night where she kind of missed it a little. If he can pull them off, it'll be great. If he can't, then I hope they have a plan B in place.
I know, right? Well, they can always do what Dami did in 2017. Is it love? She always just sang, "Is it love?" And then the backup vocal was cranked up, and she did all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, but gotta make sure it's in tune, though. Otherwise, it's very obvious.
Mm-hmm. One of the many reasons why they don't want us to see the individual rehearsals anymore, because we're just like, oh no. Anyways, I digress. I also do not understand why Cyprus went for Australia decides reject. I don't necessarily like the term reject because just because you didn't win a national final because of a lot of competition. What place did he end up in? Do we remember? Seventh? Oh, that's not as high as I thought it would be. Do we know? Well, I mean, I know he's half Australian. Was he famous in Cyprus? Do we have any information on that or why he was chosen? Because he was actually chosen before the song, right?
Yes, he does have his family is Cypriot, so he is part Cypriot, and then I don't know the full details, but they currently reside in Australia. But he has a very deep attachment to his Cypriot roots, so I think that was a part of it. And then I don't know, maybe there's some behind the scenes stuff that we don't know, or his manager threw him out as an option, or Panic was just like, "Hey, we really want this person. We're gonna see if we can get him." Who knows? But at the end of the day, CyBC and Panic Records wanted him, so he at least knows the country, which is better than scouting someone who has no connection to your country whatsoever.
I know, right? So if you think this is a good score or not, doesn't matter. Please vote in the poll below because the viewer score will also be included, and then we'll have the final ranking in the near future for that.